some issues with townhome participation. That's another bit of information that you might find useful.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jen.
Just to let you know, as having done the special census, that not only did we go back several times to people's homes, but we hung things on the door for them to contact us. So that, I mean, there were a lot of efforts made to get a hold of you
During the special census?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know that that was true with this census. Particularly, we were praised for having such a high return, 80%. But 20% is still a lot, especially if it's mainly the townhomes, and I did not see the effort put in for doing exactly what you just said. So that's my concern. And the Census Bureau may tell us, you know what, you don't like it, do a special census in 2 years. So, I don't know that that's true, but I'm just saying be prepared for that answer, and then we would have to weigh out whether the math would work in our favor.
Did they have a record of the homes that didn't participate in the census?
That's what we're waiting to get the detail on. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to standing committees. Are there any announcements? Information? Red flags?
Well, in my hot little hands here, we have our first fully licensed DVD for viewing in the Village Hall. We have E.T. Extraterrestrial as its restored version, and we will be showing that on Sunday at 2 p.m. Please remember, we're not a babysitting service, so please, if you plan on attending with children, please make sure you stay with your children. And we're looking forward to seeing a good turnout.
Good. Wonderful. And the newsletter went out, we got a few comments, so hopefully we'll get some good participation. Any other announcements?
Go ahead. Go ahead. During the snowstorm, Mayor, because you just commented on it also. I also, commented that Dave and his gang did a great job. However, not to dissuade anything that Dave did, because he did do a great job. I did get a lot of comments from people that we put out a lot of CTY calls to. We're going to get a blizzard. We're going to get hammered. We're going to don't drive, my roads are closed, all that kind of stuff. But I had a lot of angry people calling me up going, what's this guy doing pushing snow up into my front yard with, we made CTY phone calls for everything else, but you didn't tell them that Dave was out there pushing snow back up into people's yards.
Actually, I did.
Yeah, there's a call.
I did an additional phone call.
Additional phone call?
Yeah, and I even said that, asked them to be patient and that there would be smaller trucks coming through, clearing out the end of the driveways, but they would have to be patient.
No, this is the people, where Dave was pushing it up into people's front yards.
And that was mentioned on the CTY call as well.
I did get that call, but I mean,
It may have gone to your machine or yes, Diane, but yeah, no, that was definitely all in the CTY call.
I couldn't answer it, but I said, you know what, we communicated everything so far to everybody, and said, we didn't get a CTY call about that one. I got this, 80-ton machine in my front yard. It doesn't weigh 80 tons. It weighed 12,000 pounds.
Yes, and I saw your comment on the Yahoo. But yeah, but the CTY call did go out on that.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And I think a few people got confused, those that were not around when that gentleman did see the equipment, but there was also, I think, some confusion and people thought it was a plow pushing the snow way back on their property, and there was concern it was ripping up their yard, and that was not the case when I explained it. And as you can see, really, for the amount of snow and equipment, and we got a quick spring melt, there's not the amount of damage that I really expected given what's going on. So I think, again, that, considering we did a pretty good job. So my hats off to the guys. But, you do the CTY calls, you do everything you can. Some people just don't get the information, and all we can do is say, call, email us. They have more avenues than ever to reach out to us. And if anybody that called or emailed on the contact request for service, they got quick responses.
Well, that's what I figured, but I wasn't going to go out and start answering for you and, step across, your toes going, oh, we put this on, we did that, so. It was just, I got about half a dozen phone calls on it. It was a spectrum machine in my front yard code. So, pushing the snow back up, it's either that or, we hire trucks and at, $100 an hour to haul the snow away, and I think we really don't want to be paying that kind of money for it. And then my second question is, did we ever get all of our hours put together so that Mr. Banco can go to FEMA and Lake County for some type of recovery, considering that they call Lake County a disaster area and closed all the roads?
Well, actually, our public works superintendent, Jeff Gately, put together the report.
Okay.
He sat down with Dave Schultz and it's been submitted.
Okay.
Mike is aware of it, but they actually did the work and submitted the paperwork.
Okay, very good. Just want to make sure I got that from our standpoint. Thank you.
Okay. You reminded me of another item though, Kevin, when you're talking about the street parking. I had a conversation with the commander at the police department, and I don't want to make a big deal about this, but I want to put it out there on public record, is that any officials in this village follow the rules that everybody else does as far as parking on the streets overnight. And if you have a legit reason for parking on the street overnight, then you need to make the appropriate calls to do so. Now, I will also tell this. Chief Herzog and Commander McCutcheon have said the officers obviously can very easily tell who the officials are in this town. And if you're parked on the street overnight, they're not going to ticket you immediately. They're going to give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe you're doing some type of official business. But there has been some occurrences, and I have some dates where somebody has been repeatedly parking on the street. So for the record, I want it noted for all the officials is that I have told the police department if this continues that they are to start writing those individuals tickets. Okay, with that, I would like to move on to business. Oh, I'm sorry, Jerry.
There's enough of these for everyone to have one.
Handouts.
I won't take real long, but I want to give you an understanding of the info on this sheet. This is, if you notice at the top, this is round 4. The Finance Committee has seen 3 rounds. This is a summary. Column 1 is just a list of the name of the funds that we're dealing with. This all has to do with budget development. Revenue is just that. It's projected revenue for our upcoming budget year. The total revenue under the general admin, the first total of $1,333,000 has been lowered by approximately $12,000 based on the actual census figures versus the estimate that we've dealt with a little bit before. The second column, if you recall last year, we developed a reserve fund, was the name we gave it, which was 5% of all our revenue that we set aside, and that is those expenditures, or any expenditure of those funds, had to be approved by the board. It was kind of an emergency fund. So that column shows, for example, the first line, $1,266,000. That's spendable money out of the general admin, police, and the MA fund. So that whole column is spendable. The next large column is budget requests, which various committees have submitted. The next column, labeled balance, is how much it's column 3 minus column 2. And that'll give you a balance. You can see in Public Works, their requests exceed the revenue by $146,000. And the last column, reserve fund, is how much money we would set aside for each of the funds. Now, if we did not, and this is explained in the notes down below, so you can look at it again later. If we did not set aside money for the reserve fund, our total budget at this point would be $50,000 in the black. So that's not bad. But I'm recommending, and the committee has to this point backed me on this, that we do set aside that 5%. And with that, we are 72,000, if we set aside that money, we're $72,380 in the red. So my recommendation to the mayor, to the board, and it's not something that needs to be voted on, but I'm glad to take the feedback after you've had a chance to digest this, is if we go back and look to cut another $72,380 from our budget request. This is across the board. This just is not how public works. I just wanted to give this to you for information this evening. Feel free to give me a call if you have any questions, or drop me an email. Thank you.
And then let me ask Jerry, do you want answers or cuts done by a certain date? Because I'm sure you're going to look at this at your next finance committee meeting prior to the next regular board meeting, or?
Obviously, yes, finance committee should be ready to go for this on the next. If I hear nothing to the contrary from board members in the course of the next couple of days, somebody have a calendar available?
Yeah.
What is the date, let's say a week from Thursday?
Thursday would be March 3rd.
If we could have all the next round of projected or suggested reductions to Kelly in the business, March 3rd, you said, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, that would be fine.
Another thing we could look at is making the reserve 4% instead of 5% if things are getting really, down to the last little bit.
That is a possibility. You can see though the total reserve, it's 123,000. We do still have money in the bank above and beyond this, but it's been our goal to present a balanced budget. But Georgianne, you're right, we could adjust that if we so desire.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I thank everybody for getting in their paperwork. Kelly, I think you got everything on time. That's always a good thing. Not so easy around here all the time.
Kelly, when do we have to have, when should the budget be presented to the board? Because we need that hearing also.
Right. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but our new fiscal year starts May 1st. So if we keep at this grounds and get it hammered out, we can have a hearing. The board has to look at it and say yes, then we can have a hearing at a following meeting. So
Second meeting, well, March we don't have a second meeting,
right.
but if we have a special meeting.
If we can tweak it before the March meeting and present it, then we can schedule the hearing at the first April meeting and approve it that night.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that'll be our goal.
Okay.
Thanks, Kelly.
Okay. Is that it on announcements? I didn't want to overlook anyone. I apologize. Okay. Under business, exciting item, which I didn't want to wait till the next meeting because we're on a time crunch. We want this to take place as soon as possible. We received from Lake County DOT the intergovernmental agreement for county participation for the construction of the extension of the bike path on Hainesville Road. So I haven't heard from anybody, so I'm assuming there's no questions. I would hope that we would approve this tonight because it, of course, needs to go back to the county for their approval, and then the Lake County DOT letting is supposed to start March 22nd, and as long as that takes place on time, we should have actual construction in spring, early spring.